Good morning, Heat Nation, folks, folkettes, and everything in between and beyond. My name is Roy, the only host, as far as I am concerned, in the history of the internet, who fully and wholeheartedly admits he has no idea what he's talking about, but he tries. So today's the morning after the loss against the Celtics. It's the second loss in a row. We are under 500. And we have a very tough stretch ahead of us, as I mentioned yesterday in my brief video. Today is going to be a very similar video. It's unscripted. I'm not doing anything in particular other than just voicing what I think is my concern. So one of the things I asked, first of all, yesterday I mentioned that Andy Nichols had asked me about the, Khalil Ware playing against the Raptors because of the fact that Raptors are always going to be great in terms of scoring in the paint, and that would just we just had to find a better rhythm, and perhaps he just wanted another big body to rebound. But I agree with Raf when he said that he wouldn't have mattered against Raptors whether Khalil Ware played or not. I mean, he may have mattered, right? But he wouldn't have mattered because again, at the same time, we still had a big night for Bam rebounding. So if you expect Khalil Ware to get 5-6 rebounds, and you expect Bam to have 10, 11 rebounds, and he had 20, he pretty much made up for all of that. So I agree, that's not the factor. I believe that the factor, of course, is the fact that we are really struggling to score as we should be able to score, right? So the shot diet, so this is the question that I asked Brady Hawk, and I'm waiting for his response. The shot diet changed from mid-range to either the three-point or within 5 feet of the basket, because of the fact that the percentages are very similar for mid-ranges as they are for three for beyond the arc. And so why not moving 3-4 feet back and getting the three, as opposed to attempting a midi that's not going to necessarily work. And I agree. I for example, I see that there was a lot of the shot diet last season that was very, very good in terms of what Bam could do in the mid-range. It had, the last season and the season before, he was improving steadily on that area. And then all of a sudden he's asked not to take those shots. And so, of course, that, he's still finding his ways. He's still finding a way to deal with it. But the main idea is that I'm asking, what are the percentages of mid-range shots average throughout the league that justify this? I want to understand the real calculation, because I don't think I have the time to go through all of the numbers through all the past seasons, but to basically find out what is the average in terms of mid-range shots. Because a couple of players that we have, and I say Bam being one of them and Rozier being another player, and Hero is doing pretty well in mid-ranges, in long ranges, and within 5 feet. Like, Hero is one of those players that has truly, depending on how the Heat goes, he has a really good shot as a most improved player. But, again, right, a couple of our players rely on that shot a lot. And perhaps taking that away is part of the reason why we're struggling as much as we're struggling in terms of trying to understand where we are and where we want to be. But yesterday was another game to forget. By the way, some very interesting things happened, right? So first of all, Bam, again, right, a horrible offensive night. And when I say a horrible offensive night, if you look at his points, I think he had 15, if not mistaken, right? And a minus 17, right? A minus 17. Yeah, I had 15 points yesterday. 2 personal fouls only, right? No, 1 personal foul only. Yeah, that's a good thing. 3 turnovers, 1 steal, 5 assists, and 8 rebounds. And I'm on a minus 17 night. So a bad night. You could see that he was not fitting well with himself. And yes, again, you have Boston shooting at not a particularly high percentage night from beyond the arc, but still getting 19 triples, whereas we shot 8 of 35. So again, right, we had about 15 more shots to get off that we didn't. Very surprisingly, people that provided that, Jaime Jaquez, other than, of course, Hero, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Drew Smith, right? they provided that kind of attack, and then of course then you have both Jaime Jaquez Jr. playing at a very good level, 19 points. Hero a little bit beneath his regular level at 19 points, and of course we had an injured roster, but they also had an injured roster, right? I mean, no Jrue Holiday, no Porzingis. The only thing I can say is this: I don't see how the team, the way that it's built, is going to ever figure out enough not to beat the Celtics on any given night. I think that no team has truly figured this out, and the wins came because the wins came. And they lost against Cleveland on the first of a back-to-back, but again, they still had their injuries. So I'm not really talking about Celtics. I'm talking about the fact that we shouldn't theoretically be under 500 right now. We should be 2 or 3 above 500, given some of the games and how close they were, and given the fact that we lost 3 times as favorites this season, 3 or 4 times as favorites this season, and I believe that this was game 19, right? Game 20 is against the Lakers. Cooper Moore had said that a set of 20 pretty much establishes statistically where the teams are going to be close enough, where the teams are going to be after 82 games, right? This is about a fourth of the championship being played right now against Lakers. I'm only going to have my worthless everybody to kind of summarize the situation after the game. Probably a back-to-back that's going to happen after the Lakers. We're going to have the Suns and on a back-to-back, I think. I have to check the schedule, but I'm not even concerned about that. What I'm saying is, no, this team is not competitive. I'm not even saying should we trade one player or should we trade another. I'm not going to go into that right now because I don't think that it's useful. Obviously, we have players that we wish that we could get something in their return, because unfortunately they're not doing their part. But because they're not doing their part, then how is the market for them? Probably not very well. Probably not very good. Pat Riley doesn't like to make trades, and so this is an issue. Well, again, my question to the people that actually know what they're talking about is always, if you want to make a trade, let's take a few players that could have their values high right now, right? Let's say Jovic has some value right now, but let's say Duncan Robinson has value right now. Pelle Larsson has value right now. Jaime Jaquez Jr. has value right now. I'm not even going to mention Jimmy Butler. I'm not even going to mention Bam Adebayo. Let's imagine that we're able to keep at least part of our core. My question is, who do we trade for, especially understanding that we're going to be losing? So we trade for picks, of course, but who do we trade for? We try to get picks back because that's the way to try to rebuild the roster. We actually have a very solid rookies in Pelle Larsson and Khalil Ware. I understand why Drew Smith isn't. I understood it since it was explained to me that he was great defensively in interceptions, and we can see what he did yesterday. But Boston doesn't need much to figure things out in the middle of the game, so it's not a surprise that you lose to Boston. I think that the main surprise is that you lose to Boston by displaying the same kind of behavior that's gotten you into trouble in the past seasons. That means that your layup game is very bad. Your mid-range game, which is supposed to be non-existent, but when you do take those shots, is very bad. Your free throws are not as bad as the last game as they're normally, but they're lacking in some games. But most importantly, it's the fact that we don't have enough pace to shoot those 50 triples, and that's what's been happening with us. We've been swallowed by more or less decent defenses. No matter how much Bam Adebayo did figure some things out later in the game, he's got to have those things figured out already. He's not a rookie. This guy's a veteran. And supposed to be the cornerstone of our franchise. So, yeah, we lose again. It's a disaster class, as Raph said. And we play against the Lakers. Now, look, I think that the game against Boston was a game to lose, like I said, right? It was a game to lose. It's not a scheduled loss, but it was one of those games that we win if we shoot extremely well and we shot below our own average. So about 2% percentage points below. Oh no, about 15 percentage points below our average in terms of shooting beyond the arc. Points in the paint, great. Fast break points, great. All those things, we actually got a little bit more than them, but still, but by them shooting just an average number, because of the volume, they are going to get those things buried and they are going to get those things down. But I think that against the Lakers, we stand a chance. We stand a chance against every single team that comes now. Understanding that, of course, now at least one of our rivals is way on top of us, Orlando. Last season, we were kind of competing for the same spot up to a certain point. But right now, they are way, way ahead of us. They're, what, 8 games or more below, about 10 games now, or 8 games, below, 9 games, sorry, below, above 500. Whereas we are below 500. We're getting to a tough stretch. Things, of course, eventually are going to even out, right? We're not going to have a tough schedule all the time. But again, this is the type of stretch right now that can get you to 5, 6, 7 below 500, and then you're basically trying to cut that difference. Last season we had a if I'm not mistaken, a 7-game winning streak, if I'm not mistaken, but we also have or 5-game. I don't remember exactly. I know that we were in trouble with a huge 7-game losing streak or something of the sorts, and then we also had a winning streak that kind of evened things out. But to be very honest, of course, it depends tomorrow, but I do think that this Miami Heat team, as it is built right now, it has a lot of issues. It's not just one. It's not just get a better point guard, or it's not just move Bam to power forward, which is, again, right, one of those theories that keep recurring. It's not just trade one player for another player that will do exactly the same or slightly differently. This is about a roster that's just not, it's not working. I mean, it hasn't worked wonders in the past, but this one in particular hasn't worked at all, and it's just not working. And I don't think that it's difficult to get into the play-ins, whether or not we're able to get into the playoffs. So of course, Raf's saying, yeah, now Pat Riley's thinking, depending on the situation of how where we end up, is thinking we don't need to do anything because we're okay. You know, we're going to be able to get to the play-ins because of the way that the East Conference is playing. You don't want to be in the play-ins. That's number one. Number two, even if you're in the play-ins, you're not competitive in the playoffs. You can get a good round one, but you're probably going to be facing, right, number one or number two. I don't, you know, it's very disappointing. Of course it is disappointing. It's disappointing because, again, right, understanding that certain things could have been done, but I also don't know how much it would have made a difference. So this is where I am right now. I'm a little bit split into, yeah, okay, we have to make trades, but trade for whom? We had to make trades in the past, but which player do you think, other than Lillard last season, which player do you think that would be right now on the roster that would make this team so much better, that is available and obtainable, let's say? So in any case, this is it for me. Stay safe, stay dry, stay as happy as possible in this complicated world of ours. It's not even that cold. I'm just using my father's sweater. This sweater is about 50 years old, almost like me. In any case, guys, let's go Heat.